Hey, hi guys. So the first topic that we are gonna see is HTML, and I think you guys just downloaded all those prerequisites which we discussed in the last video. So that's it, I guess. Let's get started. So what is HTML? It stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it is completely not programming actually. It is just to denote the elements in a web page, and usually it's just a simple template, and it gets styled with CSS, and the all the coding part happens in JavaScript. So in this tutorial, what we are going to see is completely HTML part. We are not going to look into other stuff. So instead of showing all those slides, what are HTML3, HTML4, I just don't want to confuse you guys with all those stuff. We'll right away get into the coding. You guys remember, right? We created something called sample folder in last tutorial. So I'll just create a index.html file. So why is it index.html again? Index will be the initial file that gets loaded to the browser, and .html is the extension for HTML files. So the advantage of VS Code, you're gonna see it right now. Just click exclamation mark, and once you hit enter, you will get all the initial template for HTML. Well, of course I get what you guys are thinking right now. What part of no coding comes here? Yeah, of course, this might seem like coding, but I will say this is completely just a basic template. You'll get yourself familiarized as you work on few steps. I'll just explain it line by line. You see here, right, this is the doc type, denoting that this file is a HTML file. So that is what it is saying here. And you could see that the HTML tag starts from here and ends here. So any tag that starts is supposed to end, and it is separated into two parts, head and body. Usually you will have all those paragraphs and everything, heading, all those come under body tag. And in header usually we load style sheets, and anything that is supposed to happen before processing of the body comes under head. So we'll just focus it in later parts. We'll get right away into some fun stuff like see something in browser actually. So I'll just open the browser side by side. I have some extension installed called live server. You can just search it here like and you will be shown with this. Just click install. What it will do is you could right click the file and click open with live server. So it will just show the document that we are viewing here in the web page, and it gets loaded instantly. So it will be helpful for you to debug. So you see the title tag here, right? So this is what you're seeing above. Say for instance, I will change this to something called blog. So you see the changes, right? And of course you will be thinking, what happened to these tags, man? Yeah, I'll show that. When you click inspect, you will be seeing the whole document, the same replica we have here right now. So you see the meta tags, right? So these are something which is taken into account by Google Analytics and Google SEO and other stuff that is related to page indexing and all those stuff. Now coming to the body part, we'll start with like headings. So headings is denoted by H tag. It usually comes in 6 different types. So starting from H1, H2 and all those. Anyway, you will start with Hello World program, I guess. So this is how Hello World looks in web development. And anyway, This is not like you are supposed to put it inside all those tags. You can simply write it here and it will show up there. So tags are bring out like the property of the element, and also it applies I think you will ask me like what happened to the part where you don't get into styles. Yeah, because this is not a style that I applied. This is a predefined style. As you whenever you see something like user agent style sheet, it means that the browser has a predefined style for a particular tag. So it is applying some styles like display block, font size 2M, and all those stuff, font weight bold. So this is not something I did. It is browser specific and element specific. What we'll do is we'll just make a copy of all those things, and I'll just change the tag names. Okay, so now you could see that there is difference between each heading tags. And coming to the next part, the thing that we'll use mostly is paragraph tags. So I'll just create some lower and some content. It will fill up the white space. So you could see all those text, paragraph, wrap to next line. So the p tag handles all these stuff. Also there are some inline tags. I'll just make a note here so that it will be a future reference for you guys. In HTML, you could comment stuff like when you use these things, it will get commented, and as you say, you won't be seeing it in the HTML page. So commenting, single line commenting, multi-line commenting could be done in HTML. Coming to the next section, inline elements and block elements. So that is what we are going to see. I'll just write it out. Okay. So what are inline elements and block elements? Anything that takes up the entire space is a block level element, and inline elements usually fill up the available spaces. So I'll show something like strong. So what happens is, I'll type it out. This is strong element. So you could see that there is a bolded content in between the paragraph tag. So this is an inline element. Similar to this, there are many inline elements. I'll just show it to you one by one, and you could use it along all those HTML tags. Like it is not like you can't use them in between. You just saw me using the strong element in between the p tag. So I'll just use another one. Of course, there is a tag. It stands for links. So a link usually points out to another location. So say for instance, I'll just put google.com. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm supposed to put some content, right? Take me to Google. Yeah, you see this here, right? Okay, ignore my spelling. Once I click this, what happens is it starts loading here itself. So this is not something you want a user to have, because when you are creating a website, you want him to stay in your website, right? So what you could do is create an attribute. For instance, you see href here, right? This is an attribute tag. So for individual tags, you will have attribute tags. So the attribute defines the tag itself. I'll just target underscore blank. So what this defines is, now once I click it, it doesn't load here itself. Instead, it will load in another page. So this is a better way of doing things. Now coming to the next one, there is something called abbreviation tag. So as the name suggests, say for instance we have www and the abbreviation is World Wide Web. You see some dotted lines here, right? Once you hover over it, you will see World Wide Web. So this is what you see across encyclopedia, Wikipedia and other websites. So that's that. Next, you have something like underline, I guess. So I am underlined. Yeah, I guess I'm having a lot of typo. So this is underlined. There is also something called cite. So I am italic. You see that this sentence is in italic. So these are some common examples for inline elements. So we'll take a look into block level elements. Usually a div tag is a block level element. Why do I say so? Because it takes up the entire space and it comes into a new level of new line. So say for instance I put a h1 tag stating that blog post 1, and I'll also add a few content to this. And maybe some more content created by Suren. Yeah. So as you see here, the div tag takes up the entire space. So once you hover it, you will know. This is the div tag and it takes up the entire space. But as you see, the inline elements usually doesn't take up the entire space. They just take up wherever it is called. For instance, I'll just expand it for a while and I'll show it to you. Yeah, you see this, right? But as it comes to div, it is a block level element. So that's the major difference. Next thing that we are gonna see is gonna be listed styles. Okay, actually you guys are not able to see this clearly, I guess. What I'll do, I'll just create a div with margin. You guys don't need to do this. I'm just doing it so that you could see it easily. Let's say 500 pixels. Yeah. So now we'll be creating something called unordered list. So I'll just write it down. So an unordered list is usually what you guys see in the navigation pane. Like you will be seeing something like home, about, contact us, all those stuff in navigation in the top of the web page, right? So it is usually an unordered list. It will be having a lot of list elements, so it comes under li tag. I'll just put the same thing, about, profile contact us. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll be not okay with the result, because you will be expecting something like a navigation pane, so it is not gonna come. What they usually do is they style this entire unordered list so that it comes into an inline element without all those bullets, and in a much neater way. So even that is possible. So we are gonna see that while we take the CSS classes. For now, this is unordered list, and there is something called as ordered list as well. Even it has li tags. I think some of you guys might have guessed what it is going to result in. So this is nothing but instead of bullet points, it is going to be numbered points. So that is the major difference. Next thing that we are going to see is forms. So every website is going to at least have some newsletter forms or user registration forms. So forms is a mandatory part of each website. So what does every form have? A lot of inputs, submit buttons and all those stuff. So we'll start with initially something called as form tag. So as you see, it is pre-populated with something called as action. So every form has a action to it. We can also leave it as empty, but usually what they will be doing is like they will put some file name like submit.php, and they will have some method like get or post, any method. So what happens is once a user clicks submit, this action gets executed, like this file starts to run, and whatever the logic we wrote here to submit the entire values to backend process. So this is what happens in the form. This is just leave it because it is going to be backend stuff. We are not gonna look into it. I'll just show you what are the input tags. So every input tag will have something like a label to denote what a user is supposed to enter, like first name, and the input is gonna be a text input. So you could see a nice little input box, and we could enter the text. So this is the input tag. Similar to this, there are many other tags. For instance, in HTML5, they just brought out many types which will be mobile friendly, and that is the major advantage of HTML5 input tags. There are lots of stuff, I guess I could show you right now. Yeah, so these are the available types. I think, yeah, date, no, I think we can't see this right here, but usually it will be email, date, color, tel, so it will denote to telephone. Okay, so since this is actually inline element, it is just filling up to the space. So for aesthetic purpose, what we'll do is we'll just put something called as break tag. So okay, so even that is not enough, I guess. I'll put another break tag. Yeah. So what is happening here right now is the elements here are not like block level elements. Instead they are inline elements. So as we discussed earlier, every div is a block level element, so we could simply wrap all those things in a div so that it will look good. And of course you will be having a question like, am I supposed to put all those br tags in between every time we are gonna put form? No, actually we are gonna handle it with CSS, but since we are not gonna discuss about that right now, I'll just put a br tag. and some other major types that you will be using are password field, and the type will be password. As you see, once I type here, you will be seeing that similar input to password. As you type in email, once you hover it, it will denote you that please include @ in the email address. So it is email specific type. There are some other types as well, like for date you could use date, and you will be provided with date picker. Also you could configure this in many ways, like you will be provided with many attribute options. There is also something called as select tag. So usually select will be provided with options. Yeah, this seems to be a bit new for you guys. A name is something like a key value pair. So for instance, say I'm going to enter Suren here. So how is the system gonna know the first name is Suren? So the only possible way of doing that is giving it a name attribute and specifying that this is first name. So once we do this and we submit it to the submit.php, what happens is the first name is the key and the Suren is the value. So it will take into account and it will be stored to the backend. So that's how the communication happens. So also you will notice that I have used a different type of letter case. It is called as camel case. Usually developers follow this standard. The initial letter starts with lowercase, and any other word after that is going to be uppercase. So it is good to follow such practice. Coming back to select tag, usually ID is used for something to be a generic identifier. For now I'll just skip it. We'll have something like option, and value is what as discussed here, the same thing we are gonna hard code it here, and this is something what user will see. Let's add other. Yeah, so you could see that now we are able to select any of the options. I'll just give it a label quickly. Then yeah, of course, once we have all these values, anyway we are gonna submit it. Submit button can either be a input type or a button type. Since it is gonna submit, I'm going to mark it as submit type, and I'll mark the value as submit. So you could see a submit button here. So once I click this, what happens is it will go to the actions that we have defined here. Since it is currently not here, it is not going to execute. So this is what happens once you click submit. And if a submit button is not inside the form, it might look like you can also use something like button tags, and what happens is you could click it how many times, but nothing is gonna happen. So usually what they'll have is they'll have something like a click listener, and they will have some expression like my function, and they'll execute this in JavaScript. So this is what happens. We'll discuss this more when we take JavaScript. Currently there is a button tag. So I guess that's yeah, and also there is something like text area. Usually text area is for something that is not gonna fit into input box, so it is going to be a bit larger than input box. So this is how text area will look like. Also it will be resizable. We could control these properties in CSS, also in attribute tags, however you may like. So that's more about forms, I guess. The next thing that we are going to see is table. So initially what happened was people were using table to like define the layouts, like for navbar and content and sidebar sections and footer. They used table. Table based layout is not a good practice. So in HTML5 there came something like semantic tags. So we'll see that in this video as well. For now, table usually contains two sections. It is going to be table head and table body. So in table head we could add rows with tr, and each column is defined by td. I'll just name it as name and age. So these are the table fields, and in table body we can add the table rows. I'll just add one person with name Harish, something like that, and age to be 24. Yeah, I will just add one more row. We'll just mark it as Shweta with age 26. Okay, so now once you save it, you could see the table here, and as I hover it, you could see that these are table elements, and this is an entire row column. So this is a table structure. We could also have the borders with CSS properties. So that's it for table, I guess. Coming to the, I'll just mark it. I think I didn't mark most of the parts. Yeah, so this is table. Now I think we are coming to the end parts right now. So also there is something like file types. Usually 90s kid would know that you will be seeing some sort of flash player missing in your browser. Please install so that you could view this content, so and so, and you will be frustrated. Yeah, so actually HTML5 fixed it with 3 tags. Usually it is image tag and video tag and audio tag. So currently we have these file types now. I'll just show you how simple it is. Let's just load a sample picture. Yeah, this seems like a good one. I'll just save this image. Code base, web series, sample. Yeah, save. So we see the image here. All you have to do is you just have to include it here. That's it. You will be having the image here. Okay, this seems like a pretty large image. What we can do now is we can simply alter the dimensions with a value, and you can, okay, this is too small, I guess. I'll just add some more. So of course you will be asking what happened to the height property. Of course we could change that as well, but Say for instance, if you're gonna mess with the aspect ratio and it is not gonna look good. So since height is auto, I'll say just leave it. Also, usually what developers do is they don't bring the CSS properties in inline style. So usually they don't prefer writing it here, but for time being we'll just write it here itself, and this could be a reference for you guys. But usually you are supposed to control the factors in a separate style sheet, so that is a good practice. And the alternate tag is nothing but what to show if the image is not there. So anyway, it is going to show right now. What if I'll just change the name? So you see the fruit right here. So this is the alternate. So the same principle works for audio and video as well, and of course it has a number of attribute parameters which you could play around. So what I would say is, considering that web development is a vast field and it requires a lot of self motivation from you guys, so we just saw a basic usage of all the tags. Self-closing, actually these BR tags are self-closing tags, the one that we used in between now and then. BR tag, HR tag, all those tags are self-closing tags. So HR is nothing but it will draw a line in between. So what I'll say is, all these things have a number of attribute properties. So something that you could do from your part is, you could spend some time to find which is what, and you could get yourself familiarized with most of the HTML stuff on your own. There are good reads out here. I'll just mention them in the description. So just try to spend some time, be self-motivated in learning. That's what I could say. Of course, you are gonna need a lot of patience, and in order to keep in the current trend, you are supposed to keep on learning. So that is gonna be a bit hard. And if you are gonna choose this path, just enjoy when you learn stuff. So this will help you for being successful in this field. So I think I was supposed to tell you about semantic tags, right? Since I didn't prepare any slides, I'll just on the run I'll show you the semantic tags. So this is what the semantic tag is all about. Header, nav, section. So section is something where you see the blog post and all those stuff, article. Header is where you see the navigation, about us, contact us, and all those profile, logout, all these buttons you see here. And aside is where you see all those unwanted ad clicks. Any ads will be mostly displayed in this corner. And footer is where you see the copyright content, this privacy policy, anything that is related to site navigation, it will be shown in the footer. So this is what semantic tags is all about. So is it necessary to use semantic tags? I would say it is a good practice to use them, because it will provide a better code review. For instance, I'll just quickly convert the thing that we made right now into semantic based HTML thing. It is gonna be a bit easy. I'll just put header tag, and I'll just bring this h1 here. I'll just change it into sample blog. Actually I forgot something, I guess. This blog was created by Suren. So what I'll do is, I'll just use another inline style. It is small tag. you could simply use this, so the text you are wrapping it with will be a bit smaller. So now when you see it, you see this one a bit smaller than the other things. Okay, I'm making a lot of typo, I guess. So this is header tag, and nav tag usually they wrap it around the UL. So this is what they do. Of course, a question is gonna arise like, if I'm going to put this here, is it gonna make any change? Of course, it is not gonna make any change. Even when I'm going to say we have this ordered list, if I'm going to put it into aside tag, nothing is going to change. It is not gonna come into the side of the web page, because everything is handled in CSS. This tag is not gonna make any difference. It is just a way to intimate that the code contains header, footer in separate sections. So it is just a good way of writing HTML templates. Even we could wrap this entire div into section. What else is remaining in semantics? Yeah, of course, footer is remaining. I'll just get rid of this footer. Usually we'll have a p tag stating like 2019 copyright. Actually, there is some symbol like copy, I guess. Yeah, so copyrighted content. That's it. So now you will be seeing the symbol of copyright. Similar to this, there are other symbols like trademark, Celsius, all those stuff, caret symbols, everything will come up here. So this is more of a semantic tags example, I guess. While you look into this is not going to be the best website, because this is just a plain HTML without any CSS or JavaScript. So I would say this to be something like a cheat sheet, because most of the important HTML tag elements I've just placed it here. You could just use it for a quick reference, I guess. Even if I missed something, what I'll do is I'll just make a note of it, and I'll include that as well, and I'll upload it to Git, and I'll just share it in the descriptions so that you could take a look into this file. You won't be needing a Git account to view this. I'll just post the link. What I'll do, I'll just quickly okay, I think we have already crossed the 30 minutes mark. I'll just quickly show you how a simple style sheet addition could impact the HTML file, because that's what we are gonna see in the next video. Say for instance, in this style tag, I'll target this header. I'll just put header, and let's say we'll give it a background color of maybe teal. Yeah, and color of the font white, I guess, and I will align the text to center, and we'll give it a padding of 10px maybe. So now once you save this, you will find the difference in the page. See, that's how CSS could vastly impact your so-called HTML page. So it will actually make your HTML page too pretty, because CSS is what that thing that converts a design into a actual web page. So CSS is what we are gonna look into when we have the CSS courses. I guess that's it for HTML, I guess. Took a bit of longer video, so if you are following all the way along, then of course you are ready to look into the other videos as well, because patience is what matters most when it comes to web development. And since I'm completely doing this so that it will be easy for you guys to understand, uh, you guys could give some suggestions, like maybe if I should go a bit slow, or maybe like I should have lesser typos, anything. Whatever comes to your mind, just drop it in the comment. I'll try to correct them. Feel free to ask anything. I'll just reply to it. That's it, I guess, guys. If you like this video, do leave a like. I'll just see you in the next video. Yeah, bye.